you said, a lot of people think that you need to have a job lined up. A lot of countries have job seeker visas where basically you just have to have some university education and work experience and you can come look for a job. And then also, like you said, language learning is a great one.
Hi, I'm Mickelle Weber, founder of House of Peregrine. This show is for life abroad and those crafting their life story with intention. I bring you conversations about international finances, meaning making, relationships, and parenting. I bring on the experts to help you on your journey so that you can connect more deeply with yourself, the people around you, and the place you currently call home. Find out more at houseofperegrine.com, where you can find exclusive guides, products, software, and a community that's waiting to welcome you. Welcome to House of Peregrine. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the House of Peregrine podcast. I'm Mickelle Weber, founder of House of Peregrine, and today we'll be talking about student visas with my guest today, Travis Drews, who is a Move to Europe visa expert and the force behind the Global Citizen Hub, an online community helping people turn someday into a real life abroad. We're talking about the human side of visas, clarity over fear, and the small, smart steps that you can take today if you would like to live abroad. It might just be more possible than you think. Welcome, Travis. I'm excited to have you on today.
Me too. I'm so excited to be here.
I would really love to start with just quickly where you're from, what your story is a little bit, your Peregrine story, we like to call it, your story of living abroad. And then I want to move into all of your amazing information about student visas.
Awesome. Yeah, of course. So I'm from Houston, Texas originally, and then I lived in Austin, Texas for a long time. I always loved travel and was obsessed with finding new cultures. So started traveling a lot in 2018 and then continued traveling most of my time for the next several years until eventually last year I was would like to settle a little bit more somewhere. And so I've chosen Berlin to settle for a bit. And it's been great. I love it. I love being in Europe, and I just love how there's so many different cultures and perspectives here. And it's a good place for me. So that's kind of my story.
Awesome. And when you were traveling around from 2018, did you consider yourself like a digital nomad or remote worker? That was right before the pandemic. And so how did you see that yourself at that point?
Yeah. So I've done a lot of different things in my time. Like my career path has been kind of crazy. And for a good amount of that, I was a digital nomad, working at a tech company. But in the beginning, I was working as a DJ. So I would have gigs in the United States or abroad, and it was a good way for me to travel and work at the same time. So that's kind of how I'd make those ends meet. But yeah, when the pandemic happened, all of that dried up so fast. So
DJing or digital nomads?
DJing, because all events, all live events were gone. I knew people who were 35 and 40-year-old DJs that had to move in with their parents, and because really there was nothing. So that's when I transitioned into having that tech job, and then it fit really well because it was I wasn't DJing happens on the weekend, and then my tech job happens during the week anyway. So it just kind of worked out.
I get it. I was a real estate investor and worked on movies.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Sometimes these things go together really nicely and fit both sides of your personality. So
Yes, yeah, that's so true.
I-
There's multiple sides of my personality, and it's each of them feeds. I totally get you.
they feed each other.
Hmm.
So was that something you always had in you, do you think? Did you always have a curiosity for other countries or living abroad? Or when you were young, where do you think that the travel bug or itchy feet, people call it all sorts of things, but did you have that from when you were young?
When I was young, the only thing I understood was that I didn't quite fit in Texas. I didn't quite fit into the path that my family wanted me to go on, which would have been buy a house, get married in my 20s, and have kind of a traditional lifestyle. And then I remember when I was in college, I had a friend who went backpacking in Thailand, and they were you can go and meet people. You can go travel and there'll be people to hang out with, and you don't have to be alone, and you can speak English while you're outside the US, and you can like find all these awesome cultures, and it's less expensive than you think. And I didn't know about any of that. And I was like, I have to go try this. So I went backpacking in Southeast Asia, and that opened the door for me understanding like what backpacking was and digital nomad. And then it really clicked because I was like, oh, this is what fits me better than what, kind of I was like raised for. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think that we're both American, but we're from different parts of the country. But I think that this notion, because certain parts of the country, the US, are very opinionated about what life should look like. And we spoke about this before. We both love our country. We both have no interest in, but I have no interest in the downsides of the country or what's going on there, talking about it very much because what it, when I was growing up, and I'm a little older than you, it was very sure of itself that you were already in the right place. You didn't need to go somewhere else. And so making a home right here seemed like an obvious thing to do. But if you don't fit in that, or you don't feel like you fit in, then that becomes a little bit problematic or a challenge. And so for you, it really was seeing others who were doing it.
Yeah, no, I had one particular friend who like opened the door for me, and then I also was like happy to be like I went to a very international college, and
Mm,
I had a like an international friend group, and so it was like really, it made sense with like where I was in life. But it's funny you mentioned about the idea of like thinking that you're already like in the number one place in the world. Like when I started traveling, my community was like, or like my family and my community was like, why would you ever leave the US? Why would you ever want to leave the US? And to me, it was like so obvious. Like because there's other things. Because, it's like the US is great in its own ways. And then there also is great things about other places in the world. And I couldn't live a whole life not experiencing that. And then I came to find that I really like it
yeah.
more than I thought.
Yeah. And right now you're in Berlin. I don't think we said that. Do I have that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And when we spoke before, you were telling me that Austin and Berlin aren't so dissimilar.
It's so true, yeah. It's almost like, when I chose to, like, settle here a little bit more, it kind of felt like it almost wasn't foreign enough, which is not true. It's still certainly foreign, and it's certainly German, but, it's like the similarities are that both cities have gone through a huge population boom. They were, like, artist cities, and now, like, those artists are getting, like, priced out because of gentrification. And like in the past 10 years, like just the lot prices of a lot of things have shot up, and it's just like really dramatic. So yeah, it was funny. I was like, I wanted a different set of problems, and then a lot of the problems are the same problems.
Yeah. And that, do you think that the similarity might be you as well and how
Yeah,
you approach
definitely. I
it?
mean, like part of the reason why I came here was because like I knew I would fit in. Like I had been coming to Berlin for like a few years before I decided to like get an apartment here. And yeah, certainly the similarity is me. Like it was an easy transition.
Yeah. And so also it sounds like you did a big transition during COVID. And so tell me how that shaped you and how you are living your life today.
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. So I always enjoyed business. Like I have a master of business administration. So like, and being a DJ, being a musician is entrepreneurial. Like it's basically like starting a business, like, and having started the Global Citizen Hub, it's like it really feels like a similar vibe of creativity from making music and doing the Global Citizen Hub. But yeah, I got a job which I really loved. It was like a remote tech job, and I like really enjoyed doing it. But there was always this kind of like disconnect that I didn't enjoy, which was kind of like there's a lot of BS in corporate. There's like a lot of BS, and I'm a person who I just want to like be straight with you and tell you how it is, and I don't want to have to like play the politics game. Like I just want like if I want, if you tell me what job to do, I'll do the job, give you a great product, and that's like what I want. But it became more than that. And then eventually like the company started to like not be super honest with us as employees and not be super honest with its customers. And that kind of made me like just have a really bad taste in my mouth about corporate, which sucks because I had been in corporate for 4 or 5, I'd been in 5 years total. And the first 4 years was beautiful, and it allowed me to travel the world and have like good money and work from anywhere. And it was great. And I had you know, a good situation. And then like that quickly it turned bad. So it made me realize that I'm so much more happy now being my own boss and like having my own business. It like just fits me so much better.
I found that there's a myth of having a corporate job and it being secure and that being safety. And I think that is, in many places of the world, actually a thing, a story people tell themselves. That there's security in a stable job and a stable life, but you
Mhm.
realize that there's different ways of finding safety. And that sounds like you made that journey and had that experience.
I 100% agree with you. It, especially nowadays, it's like corporate is not stable anymore. And I was happy that I got out at the time that I did, because like it's never been a better time to be your own boss. And I think I'm like at the perfect moment of like having a business and like not having to rely on worrying about getting replaced by AI. So yeah, 100% I agree with you.
Yeah. And so when you made this transition, it sounds like you needed to find a way to be able to live the life you wanted to, which sounds like you are settling, you wanted to settle a little bit more. So you had
Mhm.
traveled since 2018, travel for a few years. Then what happened in your story? Besides COVID, which happened in everyone's story, but how did that affect you?
Um, my problem is I want it all. That's my problem. So I want to, be able to visit my friends and family in the United States a lot. I want to not have to be based in the United States. I want to continue to travel a lot and see new places all the time. And so I've been fortunate enough to be able to accomplish all these things. For example, I had been, traveling most of my time, coming back to the States, working, and then going back out to travel again. And now I've made it like a very smooth transition into being based in Europe more. And it's just a really, I don't know. I think it would be so hard. I'm always so impressed with the people that I work with who leave their entire life and move to a new place and like leave all their family and friends and don't visit as often. I think that's so brave, like so brave. And I'm lucky to where I've been able to like spread it out a little bit more and make the whole transition like slower over time, which is I love that.
Yeah, makes it a little less traumatic.
Yeah, I can't. Wow, it's just I love my family and my friends back in Texas so much. I would be devastated if I like didn't, see them as much. So it's hard. It's very difficult. It's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah. Would you say, so I've spoken to a lot of people about this, and would you consider yourself living more bi-locally, like between two places? Or, and you're based, your adult life is based here, but you still have a emotional base back in Texas?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how it is. And that's one thing where it's like I must have remote work. Like Otherwise, I couldn't have any of this. Um, and the fact that I can like work wherever is like really, really helpful. So, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, yeah, I would say that it's like buy local. I'm definitely visiting the US a lot.
Yeah. And so when you started, what was the spark that helped you begin the work you're doing now, which started with this incredible resource of student visas? That's where this kind of all started. Do I have
Mhm.
that right?
That's
And so
right.
how did that get started? Like what what was the spark for that? I think there was something about a cousin that I remember in our conversation before.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, I was done with corporate and I was like back to DJing. And I remember I had my cousin who lives in, okay, let me tell you about my family. I have the best family in the world. Uh, I have about 20 like family members that live in a small town in Wisconsin that is like classic Leave It to Beaver, that 70s show, small town America, which is, oh my God, I'm spend a lot of time there with my family, and we're very loving, very accepting of each other. Beautiful family. So I had a cousin who has like 3 kids under the age of 10 who went around January, messaged me and was like, "Hey, can you help me leave the US because I'm worried about the future." And I was just someone I didn't have a business or anything. I was just someone who was international. And I came to realize I was like, wow, if my cousin has this feeling who has lived in this town her entire life and my rest of my family have lived in the same small town their entire life is feeling this thing, then that's powerful. And that's something that I can help people with. So it started out for Americans to move to Europe, but this wave, this thing of people wanting to move to Europe was so powerful that already it's quickly grown beyond America. And I'm very happy that I'm not just focusing on like America and what's going on there. I'm allowed to just like focus purely on positively helping people legally move to Europe. So that's kind of how it started. And I'm just happy that it's gone so well.
Yeah. And so in that, you were able to find something that very few people know and more people are learning now, but that Europe really is supportive of language learning as a way of supporting a visa. That's something that they see. It used to be, I think most people have it in their head, at least I did, that it's really hard to move abroad or you need to have a corporate
Hmm.
job move you or some story, right? Or you come with a backpack as a single person. There's only two ways to do it. This, I think what you're offering shows people that at any age, at any income level, you can get a visa to legally come to Europe at least for a year or two.
Yeah. It's like I try to stay away from like framing it in terms of hard or easy because what does that mean? I think moving abroad is challenging and but not necessarily because of visa stuff. Like it's challenging because of stuff we talked about before, like having to say goodbye to people or just, you know, having to navigate a different healthcare system than you're used to or whatever, right? But that's one thing that it's like people there's so many options that people don't know about. Like like you said, a lot of people think that you need to have a job lined up. A lot of countries have job seeker visas where basically you just have to have some university education and work experience and you can come look for a job. And then also, like you said, language learning is a great one. Like, for example, in France, you can go study French and that's your visa. And all you have to have is, you know, clean criminal record, a passport, and you want to learn French, you know?
Yeah. And you have to enroll in a class, obviously. Duolingo
Yeah.
doesn't count,
Yeah. Yeah.
but these are, again, not big corporate jobs that are hard to get. Like you said, the visa shouldn't be the hard part of your move because there's other hard parts. And I think what I would like to say is it goes from impossible for someone like your cousin who has 3 kids under 10, feels like there's not a way, or maybe a retiree who maybe thinks there isn't a way, someone who isn't the typical person we think of, which is like a young 20 something single or maybe partnered, they can move abroad. But this opens up pathways for other people at other income brackets,
Yeah.
um, and also a legal path to potential longer stays.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I recommend student visas all very often because um it does open the pathway to longer stays. Like for example, here's an example. In the US, the average student takes out $40,000 worth of student loans and they carry that debt with them years and years and years. And I know people who they have a very difficult time paying off all this debt. Whereas on the other hand, you could choose to study in Europe and Germany, for example, all public German universities are free tuition, even for foreigners. So that already is very attractive, right? But
Yeah.
besides that, like even if you don't have free tuition or you go to a country that doesn't have free tuition, it certainly is not going to be $40,000. Like that's a lot, you know? So there's pathways you can do that. Also, if you go and study like universities, a lot of the time, part of the program is to help you get a job, right? So like I went to business school, I went to like a master of business administration and like basically like most of the point of it was networking, you know? And
Hmm.
so that's such a good way to transfer into long-term residency and then eventually citizenship, right? Is like that's a very, very good path, like student visa, job seeker visa, job, citizenship.
Yeah. And so that going to a university is one way, but even before that, let's say the university is not in English that you want to go to, you could even start with a language program, do that for a year or two, then move to university. So this is just giving you years to spend in this country legally, building pathways to citizenship if you want, or permanent residency, or all the funny things we have to deal with as international people, because visas are a thing.
Hmm.
But it gives, there's just so many, and this is what your program shows, and your um, resources, is that
Yes.
there's so many more ways than we think to legally start that pathway, or to give a country a try, or to learn a language, get another degree. That's just the start. There's more that you're uncovering all the time that people can access. And so that's kind of where what started for you as a resource library, it sounds like, has turned into something more. And tell me why you think community matters so much in these sorts of uh in moving abroad and moving to a new
Yeah.
country.
Yeah. So like I went out to I had this idea and I was like, I can help people with this, right? And so then the question is like, how do I help, right? So I started out making ebooks and visa guides for, well, that's not true. I started out by making like an in-depth video course about a specific visa, the German Opportunity Card, which is a job seeker visa here in Germany. And then I was like, okay, that took me a long time to make all that. How can I like help people who like in like how can I get more information out more quickly? So I started making like ebooks and visa guides, and those started to do well. Because I think a lot of people out there are know they want to move abroad but don't know all these options, so they need something that's like pretty accessible to like parse through all of this information that's out there. Just like the whole world of information is like, yeah, it like people don't know these options because they're just buried in all this information. So I started doing that, and those started doing well and like helping people. And so then I came to this. I started to see that a lot of people were interested in study abroad and scholarships, and I had that idea of like, why do people have to take out $40,000 of student loans? That is just ridiculous. Like, it does not have to be this way. So I was like, what if I make a product where I compile all of these different university programs and scholarship programs in Europe into a database, and then you can sort through that database by your major that you're looking for, or the country that you're looking for, or even the city that you're looking to move to, and have the application link right there and be ready to apply. And that idea came to me, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's good. That's the one. That's gonna help people." So, I made that. It's the ultimate European scholarship database, and, it's helped a ton of people so far start their move to Europe. Um, it's always being updated. So, like, things change all the time, but I stay on top of it. I'm, like, always finding new university and scholarship programs and always keeping it updated. So, like, I think, I don't know, I just like that it is really helpful, and it's, like, something that people can use to get started and to, like, fully make an entirely new life, in Europe.
Yeah. And do you think that impulse for me, I always say that these are the moments that change us. So the moment where that when one of your friends told you, "Oh my god, you can speak English, you can go abroad, you can meet people." That was a pivotal moment for you. Do you think this comes from you wanting to make those moments for others?
Yeah, 100%. It's so Life is so wild. Like, the things that affect your life the most are happen so quickly like this, right? You know? So, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what my life would be if I hadn't found my way this way of, traveling a lot and, like, seeing the world. Like, this is something that it just feels right to me, and it gives me confidence, like, self-confidence, and it has allowed me to, like, understand the world better and to understand, like, our past and our collective future. And, yeah, like, yeah, I just want if I wanna make it as easy as possible for other people to like, be in the same situation to expand their mind and their life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I say there's a cult in every culture. And so when you're part of 2 cultures or more, you learn the differences and you learn the reasons behind those differences. And one of those differences, as you've shown, is Europe really loves languages, loves has a different priority or something on education or foreign exchange students. Um, and so what would you say is attributed to that difference? Because the US obviously is an amazing country. But we have a different mindset. I
I know.
didn't know you could go to university and not graduate with debt. I didn't know you couldn't pay 2,000 a month for healthcare. But when I stepped outside of my country and went to another country, I started seeing the values, the cult in that culture. So what would you say about education, since that's what you've been kind of looking at? There's pros and cons. There's always pros and cons.
Mhm.
What would you say you've discovered that you didn't know
Yeah.
before?
Education, I think, is in a really critical moment right now, because, my whole life, I was guided towards education, like college or higher education, because it was a ticket into having jobs, right?
Mm, uh-huh.
It's not because of bettering yourself,
Mm,
really. Like, for
yeah,
example, when I had a corporate job out of business school, I didn't use, like, 90% of what I learned in business school. Like, I didn't use that stuff. It was like, "Go do this education, get a check mark, and then you can take that certificate, and then someone will give you a job." But even that's not true anymore.
yeah,
Even that's not true anymore, right?
yeah,
So, that's why there's this, like, really, like, crucial moment, happening of, like, I think that a society should invest in education heavily, because that means that the people who participate have, like, a better understanding of the world, and you can all together collectively solve your problems better. Whereas makes me sad to see societies where people frown on education and say, like, education is, like, the place where the things I believe in are not accepted, and therefore we should not be educated, or we should invest less in education. So I want to participate in a society where people go to school in order to better themselves and just to have a better understanding of the world, and that's what education is, rather than the other way, which is like this is only a ticket into having like a job. And I think that's why Germany has chosen to invest their tax dollars into public universities, because they understand that having an educated like society is the best way forward. So that's something I agree with.
Yeah. And so you want to do your best to bring that into the world, which is every entrepreneur has their reason. And then when you were moving abroad or when you were trying to move abroad, did you find, this is what I found at least, maybe you've had this experience, that the people that helped me along, whether it was for an hour, a moment, there was even a moment at the visa counter where the woman let one form we didn't have slide, and that made it so we could move. There's these little micro movements that make a big deal, but what that made me want to do is pay that forward to someone else. So that's why I think community is so important. And I think that's what you're coming to with your community, is that when you're in this moment of all these forms and all these
Hmm.
decisions and the darkness of the unknown, you know you want to go, you don't know how. That's a really important moment. It's a little bit like being at university or having a baby. There's this thing you're going to do, but you haven't done it yet, and you don't know exactly how it's going to happen. And so, what is the value you've seen in having people around to even just ask that little question or just talk to, because no one around you is talking about this? What are the stories you've seen?
Yeah, for sure. I was very lucky to have a close friend and like more than one, but some close friends here in Berlin before I moved, and having that like small bit of community, oh my God, made it so much better. Starting, I consider myself, I think I'm good at talking to people and like making friends, but like wow, is that's a challenging thing that you have to do, is to make friends and find community, when you move somewhere. I didn't have as much support when I was like building the life. That's not true. I had a good community of like close friends who were worldly and traveling a lot. So I had that support, but I didn't like know anybody else really that was like going to Germany too much. Um, and that's what is like I started to understand after like selling the database and selling these other visa guides, which was like you do it, and then you also like there's so many little things like you mentioned the one paper that you had at the visa application that if you mess that up, if she didn't choose to give you grace, like you could have been delayed by like 4 months, and then it's like, oh well, I'm in the process of selling my house, what am I going to do, like, it's all these little things that pile up. So that's why I started the Global Citizen Hub community. And this is what I always like wanted to help people with, which is like giving people a place to ask those little questions of other people who are going through the same thing or have done it before,
Yeah,
right?
they're right ahead of you, and they know it's like you become an expert, and then you just want to share the knowledge because it is sometimes so much knowledge you've just gained by just doing it yourself, that the generative effect of passing it
Yes,
along almost is more satisfying than
of
it should be.
of course. Of course. Yeah, and it's like you just did all like why should we all have these separate experiences that are like super difficult,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When we could combine forces and share these resources and share these information, and it just makes it so much easier for everyone. I'd
Yeah.
choose that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I believe there's a network of people who have this knowledge, and they need to be connected. So that's something I'm really passionate about, and I'm happy you're passionate as well. And so that I always say peregrines have more in common with each other, even if they're from different countries, than they
Yeah.
do with people that they grew up with. And I think in your case, that's true for your global side of your personality. And
Mhm.
then you have an entire connection with people who's your family back home, which I think is really lovely. And it speaks to why you moved the way you moved, because you see some people cut ties altogether,
Yeah.
and that speaks to their experience. But what I like to see is that you've moved towards something instead of away, because I think both of us know a lot of people in the US and other even here in Europe that are moving away because
Yeah.
they're they don't agree with the politics, or they feel unsafe, or it's not any longer we just want an adventure as much.
Right. That's one thing I've come to like understand. Like I came to moving abroad from being a digital nomad. So like I was always very comfortable in uncertainty and like just I'm happy if I have like a bar of soap and my laptop, like that's fine. Like I'm fine with all that. And like I came to realize that like it's like most people moving abroad aren't like that though. Like they like aren't used to being on the road or like traveling. Some people are, but like a lot of people, it's not the same thing, right?
Not
So
right now. I think when
yeah.
I moved abroad 10 years ago, that's how we were, just with kids. We had traveled, we were digital nomads from like 2006. We were traveling, we were
Wow.
doing lots. And so what I see now at this moment is a lot of people who aren't used to that. And so they need the resources like you're not going to go like I think most people I know who moved abroad when we did or before, they were going on like a shoestring, like one tip, then they would go to the next. And that is a different way of living your life.
Yeah.
Now, there's a big population of people that are moving that aren't these wayfinders. They aren't these people who are kind of just going scrap by scrap. They need more information. They need more structure, and they should have the right to move as well. And so I think we share a conviction around that. But what I also see is if you want to capitalize on the fear and uncertainty that's going on right now, you can make a lot of money. But it is I think neither of us like that. I think that's worse for the country that they're leaving. And so, how do you navigate that with people who are moving? Because when people come to me, I really try and encourage them to move towards something and not be focused on why they're leaving and getting out fast and getting somewhere
Yes.
fast. That, that for me, I can make a lot more money, but it just doesn't work.
I understand. Like it goes back to my cousin, right? Like my cousin isn't like me, like someone who's all over different countries all the time. Like she's like has kids, like lived in the same place her whole life. She didn't ever want like be like, "Oh, I'm gonna move to a different
Mm,
country," but
yeah.
things happen and you just want to live in a society that is you feel safe, you know? So
Yep.
I started like I never wanted, you know, okay, I started seeing a lot of influencers
Yep.
talking smack about
Yep.
the situation, and I was just like, I want to. It is like I want to help people experience the joy that I've experienced since even before that this these problems kind of got more acute. And so I experimented with what type of content would work in my messaging. So like in the beginning, like I did try some things that focus on the problem, and I don't know, I'm just like so blessed. That content didn't perform as well as stuff where I was just like giving information, where I was just like,
Mm,
did you know you could do this? Did you know you could do
yeah.
this? And so I still see people who work in the space who do a lot of negative messaging. And I'm just so happy that that wasn't my little corner of the algorithm. That my little corner of the algorithm that performed well ended up being the stuff that was like, look how great life can be, you know? So I'm so happy. I'm so happy that this worked out this way. You know, it's like really unfortunate like that, you know, things in the world at large are kind of, you know, getting a bit dicier. That's very unfortunate, but I just want to, I don't know, like spread the love and show the positive side.
Yeah. Well, and I see it as help people actually make a good choice instead of running away, because it is a little bit like I see even again, like leaving Europe, people are leaving Europe because there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
And
for
in
sure.
other parts of the world too, they're going, they're almost like refugees. And that is a different kind of energy than
Yeah.
immigrant or someone who's adventuring. And so I try and help people, even if they are, that was where the impetus of their journey started. I really try and make them focus on or help them to find their why, find what they're coming towards. Um, I think it's healthier for the world at large.
Yeah, it's like it's also healthier for the countries that they're going to be moving to, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Because like for example, I don't want to inspire a lot of people to move to a country and not integrate, not speak the language, like just form their own like diaspora communities. Like, and I don't think those countries want that. I don't want that. I think that the fact that we all have different languages and different ways of doing things is beautiful, and I don't want to dilute that. Um, I just, so basically, whenever in my messaging, I encourage people to start learning the language ASAP
Yep.
now. And
Even before you leave.
even before you leave,
Even before you move.
exactly, because it'll come in handy for sure. And also just to like, please understand that it is not like another version of your country where you came from. It's that country, and you have to choose to participate in that country.
Yeah.
And at
In
the
whatever way
beginning,
you can.
yes, at the beginning, you're a guest. It's like being a guest in someone's home, you know? Like you can't, like for example, here in Germany, the tradition is you take your shoes off at the door. If you go into someone else's home and you just wear your shoes around, that's not a cool thing to do. So if you're going to relocate to somewhere, you have to like fit in with the rules and the way that things work in that society. So I think that's very, very crucial for people. Like it should be about choosing to participate in a new place rather than like bringing, like I'll never stop being American. I'll always be American. But like when I'm here, I play by the rules and participate in Germany, you know?
Yeah. And to take that a step deeper, what I have found in doing that is you learn, again, 10 years in, I played by the rules. I learned so much about the country I was living in, myself, my own country, my own values. And then then you're able to be yourself in that place, but yourself changes.
Yeah.
And so you adopt some things, you don't adopt things. You learn how to be respectful. But like you said, you're never going to be German. I'm never going to be Dutch, but we're not quite ever going to be exactly the same as we were before we moved here. So letting the place change you is what I've come to. So follow the rules at first to be able to let the place change you into the next version of yourself.
Yeah, that's so right. That's how you participate, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Because
of course.
you can't ever become that from that place, luckily.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think there is something about this really deep exploration of the place that you've just found yourself that's really beautiful and part of the journey. And so I like to encourage that. Um, and then just realize it's going to change you forever. You don't really get to go back. That's why we're peregrines.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's right.
Cool. And so now, how do people find you? How do people find this database that you're always updating if they want to start their journey and maybe join your community? What is the best place to find you?
So you should go to theglobalcitizenhub.com, www.theglobalcitizenhub.com. That is where you can find all of the digital products that I sell and also join the community. If you join the community, you have access to all the digital products like in there. And so whatever resources you'll need, you'll be able to like find them and access them. And then each resource, like for example, the scholarship database, once you buy that resource and you're in the community, you get a community of people who are specifically looking for scholarships, right? So if you are part of the community and then you buy a resource, you get even more specific and more detailed for each of those things. So www.theglobalcitizenhub.com is where you'd find that. And also, I'm active on Instagram and TikTok at the Global Citizen Hub.
Okay. And I think your channel is really, really informative, which is why I asked you on. I love that you're providing people enough to do on their own, but as we both know, it's so much deeper than that. And so
Uh-huh.
I love that you can go deeper once you've found that maybe a little idea that's come to you or something you think you can hold on to, then you can go deeper. I think that's so
Yes.
important and a missing part of this. Um, Thank you so
That
much for coming on. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, the alternatives so far are you could like invest in like coaching or lawyer that goes really deep into like what you're doing. Those things get really expensive, and I saw that there was a gap between people who are like, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I don't know what I want to do, and then like getting that detailed. So like that's why like my offering, like you can be at the very, very beginning of stages, like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. What do I want to do? And then
Yep.
write it all the way down into like, oh, wait, what happens about this document? What does this question on this form mean? So,
Yep. Well, and
yeah,
I think what you're saying is really, really important. When you go to an immigration lawyer, for instance, or someone, you kind of have to know what you want
yes,
already.
exactly. That's right.
And that's not how everyone operates. And actually, that's not a very beautiful way of immigrating
Yeah,
or living your life. For some people, it's a feel your way through, see what's next. And this allows you to start smaller and be less, not serious, but less, I don't know what the right word is. It's how you and I have both lived our lives, which is just this one step, then the next step, then the next step.
yeah,
And it's just a series of ways of living, but you don't have exactly where you want to end up, the city you want to live, the house you want to live in,
yeah.
where you want to be a citizen in 10 years. Sometimes you don't want to have that level of detail yet before you've lived it. And so this is a really beautiful way.
C'est la vie. Like that's how it goes, like that that's the way of life. Like things change and things are evolving constantly. I know that's certainly true in my life. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's true of
But
everyone's.
honestly, visa programs change constantly.
Yeah,
Countries' policies change constantly and more these days. Even my visa changed mid my visa
right.
schedule. And so I think having community, having resources, even if you have your entire 10-year plan mapped out, it's going to change. So I think that that's what's so important about what you're doing is it gives people options and availability to be able to navigate these big changes.
We got strategy, we got tactics, we got it all.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for coming on. I love what you're up to, and everyone can check out. We'll put it in the episode description and on the website, and check you out. And we'll maybe have you on again as you grow your community and see what we can do with House of Peregrine to make sure that you're successful.
Awesome. I'm so honored. I'm so honored like to be on your podcast. This was so awesome. I love chatting.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Travis. Keep it up. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed our show. For the latest insights on living internationally, join us at houseofperegrine.com to find out how you can connect with our community. Let's craft our life story with intention together.